So another thing I want to touch on briefly is 401ks, because that's usually a large portion of most people, if they have an employer, most of their retirement savings. And so something that you're going to want to think about is, I think a lot of people get really comfortable in their 401k, especially if they've worked at a place for a very long amount of time. Right. They're comfortable with the investments that they're in and things like that. But when you retire, and you need to start taking retirement income, if you take it directly out of that 401k and don't roll it over into an IRA, it's a mandatory withholding of 20% federal taxes, which is for most people more than what they're actually going to need to withhold. And so you don't want to withdraw money out of your 401k. You want to roll it over into an IRA and then withdraw money at the right tax percentages from your IRA.
Because otherwise what you're doing is you're giving the government, you're going to get that money back. Let's say you only really needed 10%. Your tax rate's only going to be 10%. If you're withholding 20%, you'll get the money back when you do your taxes a year later. But why give the government your money?
And it could have been invested that entire time. Instead, right. You're lending it to right. the government.
So for most people, it's best to roll it over to an IRA so they can put in whatever amount they want, if anything, for withholding.
And a reminder as well that when you turn 72, you're going to have to start taking distributions from your retirement funds no matter what. So you need to have it in an IRA at least by the time you're 72, even if you don't need to take income off of it. Another advantage of having it in an IRA rather than the 401k plan is the flexibility of investment options. So in your 401k, you're limited to whatever investment options, and there's usually only a few that you can choose. Whereas
10,
if you
20 maybe at the most.
Whereas if you roll it into an IRA, you can invest it in practically anything you want in the stock market or bonds. Different things. You just have a lot more options for managing it. And something that you can do with your 401k if you're getting close to retirement age, as long as you're 59 and a half or over, even if you're still working and not retiring yet, you can roll over your 401k into an IRA. They call it an in-service withdrawal. So you could completely leave the 401k open, still be contributing to it, your employer's contributing to it, but you can take a big chunk of it and roll it over into an IRA so that you can be managing it and investing it in most likely whatever you want. And better options than are available in your 401k.
We have a lot of people do that while they're still working and they're nearing retirement, but they're not there yet because they want our professional management investments that we use and the advice that we give. And so that's another thing that you can do with your 401k.